You mentioned Richard Branson. When I read about all three of you, I noticed there was a strong theme of influencers or mentors. Who are some people that you would say have been along your career that have helped you to understand branding, and what did you learn from them?
Yeah, well, you know, I have been fortunate that I've been able to meet Richard several times, and he is incredible, so he's definitely a mentor now, and what I enjoy about him is that he is humble and honest and always giving back when you meet him on a personal level, and, you know, is true to being a consumer champion and that the consumer is first. Other mentors that I've had, I've worked in advertising prior to being a client. And I worked with some really smart guys in New York, John Bond and Richard Kirschenbaum, who really tried to be kind of the bad boys of advertising in the 90s, and I spent a lot of my career with them. So they've been big influences to me, too.
Thank you. Megan, your influences or role models? I know you work with a big one.
Shoot, I do?
Co-founded with one.
Without saying, without a doubt, whether I worked with him or not, Seth Godin is a big blogger, best-selling author. Started Squidoo up with him. I was previously his book editor, starting with him on books like Purple Cow and going from there. And through the course of our relationship, we just realized that we saw the world in a different way and always wondered if we were the crazy ones or if everyone else was. And that was sort of the tie that binded us together. And I was really fortunate that, he was able to helm the launch of Squidoo. So any branding, which actually came back to bite us a little bit later, was all about this is Seth's site. And it actually took us a long time to get away from, no, this is not a Seth Godin site, this is Squidoo. It's this entirely different entity, and it's my site now, and it's our site, and it's our community site. Other mentors and influencers, I do a really bad job of remembering them by name because I remember people in the moment. I remember the one thing that they told me or the one time that they made me feel terrible and what I learned from that. But I think the only other one, I wasn't expecting the question in terms of this, but the only other one that this is not an architected moment is actually my dad, who's in the room tonight. And he just basically taught me to say, what'll it mean 10 years from now when something's going wrong? And when something's going right, you just laugh and write it.
So John and Nancy, welcome.
That was my mom and dad.
Let's give them a round of applause. Megan really need to behave tonight. For me, mentor, I have very, very fortunate met a lot of great authors. But I think for me, on a regular basis, is actually Stuart. And Stuart, my boyfriend, who's somewhere here, I think he actually teach me a lot of things about integrity and do things like you just stand by what you do and never lie about anything, and because it will come back to bite you. And sometimes I love to take shortcut, but after like he told me need to stop doing that, I'm like, oh, okay. And I will usually like, yeah, I need to take the proper route. I recently read a quote from somewhere, I don't remember who, it said like building a business is like running a marathon. If you want to go for a long, long time, you have to start slow. And that's how, big brand, that's how big business become so successful. And I multitask. I usually have like 10 things going on in my laptop. But I realized I really need to focus and slow down sometimes. So Stuart is a great mentor of mine. For me, a couple other people is actually Ted, who is my old boss from SIBO. I used to work for SIBO for 6 years. Ted is actually dying of cancer right now, but he actually is a perfectionist. Everything that he does is just perfect. Even though the email he writes, everything is very, very thought through. And for me, it really teach me whatever I'm trying to get to, I will automatically break everything down. And I'm very, very thankful to have this couple of cool men in my life. So.
I think it's interesting when you talk about branding, the emotional response that you can evoke. The tears kind of well up, you feel the passion, you feel the pull. I don't really think that in too many other business topics you actually get to feel that, and that's what I love so much about this, and sharing and giving credit to the people that influenced you. Something else that I feel pulls at the heartstrings and does good for everyone involved has to do with the concept of giving back. And I read about Squidoo's policy on giving back, and I'd like you to actually share with that. But how important is it for a company to not just focus on profit, but also to focus on people and the environmental impact that it's having? Megan, if I can lead off with you, I think.
Sure. Well, what she's referencing is that a huge part of why we founded Squidoo was to raise money for charity in a new way online. We were pretty sick of direct mail and getting a stupid little keychain from the ASPCA with a puppy on it, and wondering why people are wasting their money on this, and wanted to come up with a way that was scalable and easy for people to do and open, that people could actually change the nature of fundraising. And part of how it works, I'm assuming many of you don't know Squidoo, is that you can set up a page for free. You can talk about whatever you're interested in. If you're a San Francisco Giants fan, you can make a fan page about that. And through a model of, typically Google ads and display ads that show up on there, as well as if you sell something from Amazon, the affiliate sales, you can earn a royalty on your page. Everyone's pages automatically go to donate the royalties to charity unless they go in and change it. And that's when we started working with partnering with a bunch of charities to say, what if instead of sending the stupid, dog magnet, you used for free, go out to just 100 of your top volunteers, go out to 100 of the people who want to give some sort of micro donation, and ask them for 5 minutes of their time to say, make a page about your golden doodle pet. Make a page about your dog. It's pretty easy to do. It's not very scary. It's pretty safe. And that page will then forever and ever and ever and ever and ever, every time someone visits it and clicks on an ad, raise money for the Humane Society if you want it to, or for whatever it may be. What's interesting is that, and before I wear out the welcome on this question, what's interesting is that so many nonprofits make me so angry because they're not ready for this and they're terrified to make this change. They all just say, well, this is how we've been doing it the whole way. And for a long time, I hired a couple people and tried to run this freelance corps of people, champions who would go out to their favorite charities and try to spread the word about this. And it's too scary to let somebody else have the control over content that is going to be branded as your name, or as your company. So if anyone in this room cares about changing the way things work, I beg you to try it, not try Squidoo, but try talking your nonprofits and your favorite charities into not doing what they're doing and doing something different. But yeah, the second part of the question is just that apart from money and apart from fundraising, the whole give back thing is one of the coolest parts of what we do. Is that I realized a while back that our best users are also our most generous users. The people creating the best pages love teaching everybody else how to make pages because it makes them feel like an expert. They have this celebrity platform them, give them a power seller type of eBay badge, and really give them, say, I trust you, and put them all together in a group. And we've got about 400 people who are out there as evangelists working for free, teaching other people how to make Squidoo pages. And all I had to do was support them and praise them a little bit and then trust them. And that is really hard, but it gives back in spades.